So we're hanging out at the Meyerson. We're gonna go to the symphony, a bunch of us. It's really cool. It's a neat experience. They're actually showing, I'm hoping the sound is coming out all right, because it's loud here. But they're showing a film, and the orchestra is going to be playing the soundtrack, the John Williams soundtrack to the film. So it's Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and we rented out a balcony, so it's going to be pretty cool. More on that later. I'll try, I don't know if we're going to get to the balcony in time for me to take some beauty shots, but I will do my best. This place is pretty gorgeous. Caught vlogging. Everybody's getting drinks right now. I think Zach just got here and Matt's letting him in. So I'm gonna go try to find the seats that we got. People. I'm vlogging, it's what I do. Is Zach here?
Yeah, I think they're grabbing a drink.
Okay. So there's the screen. There's the orchestra. This is great. These are our seats.
John Williams score elevated.
This is so cool. I like this a lot.
You close your eyes and you listen to John's score, and you're transported to another place.
Look, it's Kagan and Raven. There's this cool little room between the balcony and out there in the stairs. It's nice and dim. Wait, you can see that light behind me. I'm trying to actually be in my vlogs, but this lighting's terrible. It's great in real life, but for the camera, it's awful. Okay, so welcome back to Bad Lighting. That was fun. That was a blast. And like renting out the whole balcony or buying out the whole balcony there, little area. That was fun. That's something I've never done before. So something I wish I had vlogged, or I don't wish it, but you know, it would have been a good idea. It would have been nice if I had vlogged this, but Matt and I went to Michelle and Courtney's house, and right after the thing, and I got to play with a corgi puppy. And I have corgi hair all over my arm, so that was great. And on the way there, the Rangers won their first game of the World Series, so in the 11th inning, so that's good. Good night all around. But there is something I really wanted to talk about, and I didn't know if I wanted to talk about it before we went to the symphony or after, and here it is after, and that's what worked out. But it's, you know, regarding, of course, because I've spoken about the J.K. Rowling TERF transphobe thing on my channel and on Autodidactica a number of times. And so I wanted to let you know where I am standing with all of that right now, which first and foremost, I am going to stand with and support transgender people. But here I am going to a screening of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So, and I researched like who gets the money for the tickets, who's actually getting the money for the soundtrack. Is it J.K. Rowling, or is it more John Williams, whose music we're going to hear? And it turns out, of course, she gets some money on anything using the Harry Potter name. And previously I had been Team Boycott. I don't think that was the wrong decision. That's how I felt it was best to show my support for transgender people. And I used to not know, and I even said it, I don't know any trans people that I know of. Turns out I know a few now. Because it's becoming more acceptable for them to come out, safer, but not safe enough. It's still very dangerous to come out as a transgender person. The chances of you getting murdered are much higher. And that's what infuriates me about the things J.K. Rowling says. That, just things that people say that justify targeting and bullying transgender people. And so let me get to my point, which is that I am no longer boycotting, and here's why. The boycott, it isn't even the fact that it was basically, it doesn't hurt her. She doesn't feel it at all. I think there are two things that happened in the past couple of weeks. Like J.K. Rowling is still digging her heels in on this issue and has pretty much made it clear that the boycott made her laugh herself silly all the way to the bank. Because the other end of a boycott is that on a polarizing issue, it rallies the troops on the other side. So her sales went up because we were boycotting her. So the boycott actually, and if I am mistaken and somebody has better facts, check me, please. But it looks as though the boycott actually put money in her pockets. So that's one thing that happened, and that I think it's gross that she's kind of gleeful about that. Just no remorse and no compassion for transgender people. The second thing is, and a lot of you listen to this, you actually, like, let me tell you a story videos have been getting a little traction on this micro channel of mine, and it used to be nobody would watch or listen to those videos. But I recently recorded a short story I wrote called The Briar Patch Evangelist, or The Tale of Peter Rabbit. Uploaded it to YouTube, and you can listen to it right now. But I hadn't looked at that story in a very long time. It came out 13 years ago. And, before J.K. Rowling became the voice of transphobia, of the transphobic, like the TERF movement, trans exclusionary radical feminists, for those of you unfamiliar with the acronym. And there's like some Harry Potter references in that story that I really enjoyed. That, reminded me of what Harry Potter used to be to people. Like, it's kind of like the other side is waving those books around now, and it used to be. It's like the same people who, when Peter Rabbit came out, were burning Harry Potter books because of witchcraft and sorcery. Like, they're convinced if you read about a witch, you're going to become one or something. I don't know. But those are the people now, holding J.K. Rowling up on their metaphorical shoulders and praising her as a hero for hating on trans people. And I don't want them to have that. I don't want them to have Harry Potter. I don't want them to have something that so many people grew up with. That's just like Star Wars, it's just, when you grow up with it, it's a part, like kids who grew up with Harry Potter, that's a part of who they are. Those are stories that taught lessons that resonated and helped form their personalities. Characters they related to. Maybe they related to the heroic Harry Potter. Maybe they related to the bookish Hermione, or the goofy Ron, or the nerdy Neville. Like, kids related to those stories. That's why they were so popular. And they're important to a lot of people. And I don't think that... I mean, yeah, and I'm rambling, but, because also, the Peter Rabbit point, as I was recording those parts of the story where they're discussing how Peter had borrowed his brother's Harry Potter collection to burn them, I realized, there's another story on the roster for that series, that YouTube series, called Mommy Doesn't See Me, and it has, they named their dog Voldemort, and that as a reference because it's the kid's name, the dog. And I've got a novel coming out, The Composer, where there's a lot of John Williams references in that novel, and there are a couple important Harry Potter references in the narrative, just as something that's saturated the culture that we live in. And I am not going to change those parts of the stories just to erase J.K. Rowling. I don't believe in erasing people, for one. I believe in holding people accountable for their words and actions. But, I'm just thinking about that. When I wrote all of that stuff, J.K. Rowling was not a villain to the LGBTQ community. Now she is. So let's let her have that. Let's let her have transphobia. But let's us take Harry Potter back. Because there's nothing transphobic in Harry Potter. One day J.K. Rowling will be 200 years dead, and people will still be reading those books. They've so saturated the culture that that's a given. Like Dickens at Christmas, kids are going to know Harry Potter. And they're going to enjoy it because they're not going to care that J.K. Rowling was transphobic any more than we care that Hemingway was homophobic. We're able to enjoy the works of Dickens, even though he was, maybe I'm wrong. I think, didn't he cheat? He cheated on his wife. He had, today he'd be canceled as hell. for being a bad husband, but instead we're making cartoons of A Christmas Carol. Mickey Mouse does Scrooge, like, I don't remember. No, he was Bob Cratchit, right? Kermit the Frog was Bob Cratchit. Like, everybody does Dickens. Still, Dickens, and I love Dickens. You know, different writers were raging racists in the past. But their work is still valuable. I mean, I've always leaned towards the idea of separating an artist from the work to a degree. When it comes to reader perception of a story, for example, if you just want to be entertained, you know, it doesn't matter that Roseanne went nuts on Twitter and did racist, terrible things. If you're watching the sitcom Roseanne, because the sitcom Roseanne has the opposite values. The sitcom The Cosby Show has the opposite values of Bill Cosby himself. You know, and again, one day these people will be 200 years dead, and their work will remain, and their work will be valuable and good. Like, so why shouldn't we enjoy Harry Potter during the author's lifetime the way that they're going to be enjoying it in 200 years guilt-free? And it may sound like a cop-out. If you feel like this is a cop-out, call me out on it, please. I'm listening. But more than anything, I'm listening to transgender people. That's who I've learned, because it's not my experience. I'm an ally. I strive to be an ally to transgender people. And before, to me, that looked like boycotting Harry Potter. Now, you know, and again, listening to trans voices, the boycott wasn't universal to begin with. A lot of trans people were already on the "it's not hers anymore" bandwagon. You put work out into the world, it belongs to the world. I mean, I look at my writing that way too. Like, of course, I have my agenda, like, I have my roadmap, I guess is a better word. You know, like, I know where I'm going with the work. I know what the work means to me as a writer. But I give it to the reader. If you are reading one of my novels and take something away from it that I never intended to be in there, I'm happy that you found something in the book that resonated with you. It doesn't have to be about where I'm coming from as the writer. And so, J.K. Rowling is objectively transphobic. And some of you out there may be cheering her on for it. I am not. So, you know, because I feel like trans issues are human issues. Trans rights are human rights. I don't have to be transgender to see that. It's my issue because I am a human being. The transgender experience has been a part of the human experience as long as there have been humans. So, while for the moment, and again, I am listening to trans voices. If the trans people in my life see this video and deliver me a scolding, I'm going to listen to them. If anyone watching this video in the comments disagrees with my trans people, like, I honestly, and I'm going to say this bluntly, I don't care if you're cisgender and disagree or agree. I mean, feel free to share, but your agreement or disagreement is not going to sway me if you aren't transgender. So I guess what I'm saying is that I went from taking, I still, and I don't disagree with the boycott. I think it wasn't a bad move. It just had the opposite effect of what was intended. To a degree, again, you know, they've Warner Brothers has kind of distanced themselves from J.K. Rowling and taken her name off of the Wizarding World. It's not J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World, it's just the Wizarding World, because she's too controversial. They don't want that brand associated with transphobia, because again, yeah, it's the people who used to burn these books are the same people who are tormenting trans youth with the beautiful Harry Potter theme that John Williams composed. It should not be used that way. It wasn't meant to be used that way. John Williams is not, as far as I am aware, transphobic. And he wrote that score, and that's what I went to hear tonight. The orchestra playing a beautiful soundtrack that has nothing to do with transphobia. I just feel like it's wrong to let transphobes have Harry Potter. Exclusively, I should say. Because of course, you know, they should be able to enjoy Harry Potter, but they shouldn't be able to weaponize it. And that's where my problem is. If trans people and trans allies own Harry Potter just as much as transphobes, it can't effectively be weaponized against anyone. So I just felt like, in the name of being open and honest in the vlog about my life, I needed to say that somewhere in this video. You know, I need to own that my tactics are changing. I am still an ally. I am still going to be donating money to especially organizations that support trans youth. That's the way that I'm going to fight this, you know. Like, J.K. Rowling is going to get money. If we boycott her and make a big deal out of it, she's going to get more money. So, you know, and I said this on Autodidactica too, when we did a topic about the politicization of the transgender experience. Boycott or no, give groups that work to protect and support transgender people your money. Donate to those groups. That, if you go buy a Harry Potter book, if you spend a ton of money on a seat to go sit in the balcony at the symphony to listen to John Williams' Harry Potter soundtrack, give that much money to a charity, a group that works with trans people. And to me, I say especially trans youth, because they're the most vulnerable. They're they're still trying to figure themselves out. They're the most susceptible to abuse at home or to being thrown out of their homes. And it's just evil. It's evil. Whether you agree with transgender people existing or not, it's evil to treat them that way. It is evil to abuse people because you don't like who they are. It doesn't make sense to me. So yes, I went to a symphony to listen to Harry Potter music in an effort to not let transphobic people, to not let TERFs who are being empowered by J.K. Rowling's support of their movement have Harry Potter exclusively. I don't want to let them own that association. Harry Potter is a fantasy. It's a good versus evil story, and those belong to everyone. So that is where I'm at right now, and I may certainly evolve as I go on, as I learn more, as transgender people educate me more, open my eyes more to things. You know, as I go, I'm going to do the best I can. But my position, I'm going to do the best I can without understanding all of the nuances as well as I would were I transgender. But yeah, I'm going to do the best I can, and I'm going to listen to trans voices, and I'm going to continue to support groups that work with trans people and to speak out against transphobia in my life and in my writing. And so that's why, yes, I went to see a Harry Potter movie, and it was a really cool experience. But it was not something that I did flippantly. I guess that's what I want to get across. It wasn't a callous decision. It wasn't intended as an insensitive decision. Because I even thought about not vlogging it, but then I'm like, no, that it's an event, and this is a story about my life. That's what a vlog is. And to leave that out would just be dishonest, and that would be counter to what I want this vlog to be. So that is where I'm at. Agree or disagree, feel free to let me know, especially if you are a transgender person yourself. That said, it's been a very long day, and I'm going to go to sleep. We've got a Halloween party tomorrow at the house that the roommates and I are going to get ready for. Michelle decorated the house. I'll show you those in the next vlog episode. But yeah, until then, if you want to check out my writing, you can go to glennslade-clark-jr.com. There are links to all of my novels, my short fiction, backlog of all my YouTube videos, my podcast that I do with Matt called Autodidactica, where we pretty much just talk about hot topics and don't hold back. So yeah, you can stalk me in all of these places. And for now, I'm calling it a vlog, and I'll talk to y'all next time.